Hello. I was told I can't walk around too much, so I'm going to really try and stay on the spot. So my name's Mark, and I want to talk to you. I've failed. Look at that straight away. I want to talk to you about sustainable innovation. It's really lovely to come back to Huddersfield. I got my first job in Bradford Council working with the textile industry on sustainability 24 years ago. So I spent a lot of time working with the dyers, the finishers, some of the scourers, and looking at how the attitudes have changed. It was amazing. I loved your talk earlier because 24 years ago, innovation was just introducing another colour. It wasn't doing anything exciting. It's just another colour. And I was head of sustainability for Asda Walmart as well at around about 2000, 2001, when innovation was just bringing out mint dog food, which is actually not a bad idea, thinking about it. So innovation is really great because it drives us on. It pushes us, and we perform better when we're under a little bit of innovative pressure and maybe a little bit about competition. Sustainability is really interesting. And I've spent the last few years working on the circular economy and innovation, which I'll come on to in a minute, and that's what I want to focus on. But you don't know me at all. So I'm just going to give you one or two stories. This is my career lowlights. These are all the things I'm proud of, or not. When I was 9, I took the school out on strike because the quality of school dinners was so poor. So there were 120 kids in a playground in Leicestershire chanting, "We want sandwiches." And after, it was 1970, what would that have been, 77. So after about 3 hours, management, the teachers gave in, and we were allowed to bring sandwiches for school the next week for lunches. And I went home and told my mum. I didn't actually tell her my role in this particular change, but I said, "We're allowed to bring sandwiches for lunch, Mum." And she said, "Well, everybody else will be bringing sandwiches for lunch, Mark, but you will be having a hot meal every day, and it's going to be at school." So on day one of the new regime, I'm at the front of the queue with my tray. And Mrs. Thomas looked at me, and she knew it was my fault. She knew I was a leader. And she said, "Oh, I'm glad you're here, Mark, because do you know what would happen if everybody had sandwiches?" And I said, "No, Miss Thomas." A bit like, "No, Miss Thomas." And she said, "Mark, if we all had sandwiches, then I wouldn't have a job." Which means Richard, her son, wouldn't get a Christmas present. And it was one of those moments where you realise that with power, with control, with influence, comes responsibility. And I hadn't appreciated that until that moment. And I've done loads of other stuff, really cheeky, really naughty stuff through the years. And at the moment, I work with companies on their strategy to innovate faster, better. I help build startups inside big organisations. I save my clients hundreds of millions of pounds, which is really great. And in my spare time, I make hot, smoky bastard hot sauce. Chili sauce made in Leicestershire. Tagline, straight from the devil's arse. It's online, £5.50 a bottle. Feel free to order. And I also run something called the Do Lectures, which is, imagine TED, but in a field in Wales, and loads better. Right, that's the Do Lectures. Watch out, it's coming. We want you. So that's me. And what I'm really interested in is how we harness innovation for good. I said this second sentence on here a few years ago. It's not sufficient to make things better. We need to make better things. And I firmly believe in that. I've had a career taking grams off packaging. I've had a career redesigning things so they're incrementally better. And you can save a lot of money that way. But it's not sufficient. It's not enough. We face some significant challenges. We've got 3 billion more middle class emerging on the planet between now and 2030. That's a huge market, and that market's in the East. Who's going to be selling products to us, regardless of what happens this week? Europe's a tiny market compared to 3 billion more middle class. So who's going to make for us? We have to start making for ourselves. We have to reintroduce manufacturing. I'm going to talk about this later. And I genuinely believe this is a positive time to be alive. It might not feel like that. Last Thursday was dreadful. The last 3 weeks have been dreadful. But it is a positive time to be alive. Peer-to-peer economy is flying. The gap between professional and amateur has never been smaller. Creativity has been democratized. Manufacturing has been democratized. We live in a really exciting time. It's really hard. It's really easy to forget that sometimes. So the shift has hit the fan. We've got to change things. And when I talk about the circular economy and the need to innovate, there are ways we can do this. You all know what the circular economy means, yeah? Yeah, okay. So there are a number of ways you can change products to be more circular. You can design them for modularity, you can design them for service, you can design new business models so we lease them, you can design them so that you can close the loop and we can recover them quickly. Or you can design them to last longer, which is my particular favourite. So we see the first one, closing the loop, really interesting. Certainly in the textiles, apparel and non-apparel, we see a shift towards polyester because it's really easy to close the loop. And we know H&M, Topman, Primark, we know they're invested in this because their entire business model is built on greed. And I don't mean their greed, I don't mean that at all. I mean the fact that when we go and buy clothes or even interior furnishings, we buy more than we need. We've heard the figures, we've just heard them here. Shopping is now an antidepressant. Feeling a bit low? Pop yourself down to Leeds, or even better, Huddersfield Town Centre. Just feeling a bit down, go and buy yourself something new pair of shoes. I'm guilty, we're all guilty of this. Buying what you need and what you want are very, very different things. And I love the whole idea of circling for longer. Yeah, we can close the loop on textiles, we can do this. It's easy, we just shift to polyester. But is that right? Does this feel right? Go out, buy what you want, wear it once. Wear it twice, maybe never wear it. Take it back, recycle it. Is that right? Consume without consuming. They're still made in factories like we've seen. They're still made by people who aren't paid properly like we're going to see. If we changed it for food, yeah, buy it, eat it, stick it back up again. Is that right? It's not. We're only half solving the problem. I welcome the shift. I welcome closed-loop polyester, obviously, because it's better than non-closed-loop polyester. But I'm not convinced that we're tackling the real problem here. It's not the future that I want. We've seen Rana Plaza this morning. A friend of mine runs a project called Craftivist Collective, where she highlights through beautiful craft the problems with society or the opportunities. And I don't want to be part of this system. I buy nice things, I make them last. I'm lucky. You all saw that video that was on Facebooky, YouTubey, something, about a T-shirt dispensing machine in one of the European capitals. You all seen that? You put your €2 in and you got a T-shirt. So everyone went and put the €2 in and it said, whoa, do you want that? Do you know how it's made? And they showed you a little bit of an awareness video and it's sickening, because it is. Because there's nothing more expensive than cheap clothes. For someone, might not be for you, but it's for someone. And 90-odd% of people who watched it went, oh, I don't want the T-shirt anymore, keep the money. And this is hard because people have no money and we all want nice things. It's hard. It's consumer society. It's really challenging. Craftivist Collective do some great work on this. And I don't want to be part of that system. And I don't want to be part of a system where we don't value skills properly. I'm old. I'm 47. My granddad built Triumph Bonnevilles for a living. I grew up in Coventry. His brother built Massey Ferguson tractors, the most successful tractor in the world. Still in massive demand if you read the BBC News page last week in Africa. His brother designed Jet 1 and Jet 2, the first two jet-powered cars they competed and won at Le Mans. His brother designed the second skin roof for the Land Rover Defender. Going around for Sunday lunch at my nan's was having lunch with your heroes because they all had a purpose. We've lost that purpose. And what I love about manufacturing is it's a skills-based thing. We're 5 years away, Charles Ross was here, so we're 5 years away from losing key textile skills into retirement forever. What do we do then? Who's going to make for us 3 billion more middle class emerging in the East? Who's going to make for us? And we live in a really dynamic and difficult time, and yet the opportunity is brilliant. So, how can we keep on buying everything we want and not using it? I don't know whether you watch Grand Designs. You're all pretty middle class, yeah? You all watch Grand Designs? Yeah? There was a great episode of Grand Designs. I'll do it really quickly, because you may remember it. Kevin, very good, was interviewing a fellow who used to be a leader of a massive, actually was probably a manager, less management, more leadership, please. A manager of a very large British company. And Kevin said to this chap, so then, he says, tell me why you're building an eco house now you've retired. And this chap who was stood over here, apologies, I'm moving a little bit. The chap said, well, Kevin, I've spent 30 years steering the good ship British industry through choppy waters, and I thought it was time I put a little bit of something back. Kevin, like me or you, said this. Interesting. So maybe if you hadn't spent a career selling shite to people that didn't need it, didn't want it, and couldn't afford it, you wouldn't have had to have put a bit back at the end of your life. Now, of course, Kevin never said that. And he wouldn't, because he's too nice and he's too professional. But I thought it, he thought it, and you thought it. And I call it life offsetting. I'm going to spend my life making things that people don't want, selling it, because I might get double-digit growth in the third quarter of 2018 and I might get a promotion. That's a great story to tell your grandkids. And then when I retire, I'll do something good. I heard it yesterday. Brilliant conversation with somebody at a visitor centre in the Midlands. He said, I'm doing this for a job, but actually what I want to do when I get to a certain stage where I can stop worrying about money, is I want to go and work for a charity and do some really good things. It's life offsetting. Imagine it in any other way, any other format. We have carbon offsetting. I struggle with that. But imagine if we have RSPCA offsetting. You've got a little chihuahua. You live in Cleckheaton. You come home from work. You've had a bad day. There's your chihuahua. You think, shit. Poof. Your chihuahua ends up just north of Saltaire. Okay, it's quite a long way. It's a big kick. So you pick up the phone. Hello, is that the RSPCA? Yeah, I'd like to do some offsetting. Can I donate 20 pounds, please, to the RSPCA offsetting? Wrong in every possible way. Carbon offsetting, right, in every possible... Clearly not. Do beautiful things. Work for companies that care. Don't be the person that retired waiting for your thing to start, either personally or commercially. Don't be that person. The way that I look at these things is I like stuff that lasts a long time. And I do. I've been wearing Dr. Martens since I was 6. I love them. They've not changed, apart from now they're guaranteed for life, which is great. They were made in Leicester. They're now sometimes made in Northampton, mostly made in China. The greenest shoes you have are the ones you already own. And you can get them resold. You can do that. And this is hard for Dr. Martens. Making a product that lasts forever challenges their business models. So hold that thought. There's loads of other people that do it. You've all seen the 30-year sweatshirt. Tom Cridland, you've all seen that? Okay, it's not that cool, but hey, in 30 years, who knows what the fashion's going to be? I'd buy one. I will buy one. Hyatt denim, second one over. You've all heard of Hyatt denim? No? Yes? Yes? No? 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 Yes? Some of you. So Hyatt denim make really expensive jeans. These are a pair. They're made in Wales. They're made in a town that used to make all the jeans for Marks and Spencer's. Cardigan. 400 people out of a town of 4,000 made jeans until Marks and Spencer's offshored. 10% of the population, not the working population, 10% of the population became redundant. That is scary. So my mate Dave Hyatt used to run Howie's, sold Howie's. He now makes jeans in Cardigan. It's his unfair advantage. Everyone in Cardigan knows how to make jeans. His cutter, Claudio, has got 42 years' experience cutting denim. His postman, John, has got 24 years' experience of cutting denim. Everywhere you go, you find people who cut and made some of the best jeans in the world. So he employs 16, 17 people. He's got a long way to go. Track bags, next one over, make beautiful bags in Glasgow. Stunning, stunning bags. Next one over, Trouser Town, the Hebden Bridge Trouser Company. Hebden Bridge used to make nearly all the moleskin in the country. Charles is wearing a pair today, which he's been complaining about a problem with his flies. I didn't ask any more than that. And these are beautiful trousers. McNair shirts based in Liversedge. They make a gorgeous merino mountain shirt. You don't need a jacket. You buy one of these shirts, you don't wear anything else all winter. Trust me, It smells, but hey, we're all friends. What have all these things got in common? They're all guaranteed for life. You buy them once, they're repaired until you or they finally fall into pieces. And even then, they can do shit with them. Now, that's all right for me. I'm middle class. My Saturdays consist of making hot sauce, making sourdough bread, going for a bike ride with all my middle class mates. I'm 48 and my favourite thing is riding my bike. It's not right, is it? And I even do yoga now. Years of playing rugby, laughing at people doing yoga, they were right and I was wrong. So it's all right for me, isn't it? Because I've got the income to go and spend £135 on a pair of jeans. But the poor pay most for the things that they buy. I looked at the maths of this. I had a sneaky suspicion this was true. After looking at, I can't remember what they're called, Bright House, where you can buy a £600 Samsung telly for £1,000, and then you charge 69% interest for it. I knew the poor pay more. This is wrong. So I looked. Levi's 501 in a club book, as my nan used to call them. A Yorkshire-based catalogue company, shall we say. £99 for a pair of 501s. If you've not got the 50 quid to go and buy them cash somewhere else, this is your only option. But £99 is a lot of money when you're on the dole. So what do? You click that button that says £2.49 a week. Well, that's cheap. I'll click on that. But at 34.9% interest over the 4-year repayment period, you're paying £185 for your 501s that you could go and buy for cash for 50. Now compare that to my Hyatt denim, or Dawson, actually, it doesn't matter. They're all beautiful, all of these the resurgence in British denim, and of course it's all woven in Japan. I want to change that. I want to weave here, I want to weave in Leicester. Compared to the more expensive jean, the cheap jean is ridiculously expensive. So price and cost are different things, and we need a revolution in business models. Now, I'm old. I love a bit of adamant. I loved being able to walk through Soho dressed as a pirate, and I was just going to work. I loved playing around. I've got lots of clothes. I'm part of the problem. But thinking about this the other day made me realise fashion is a bit like pop music. Bear with me. So, longevity, that's what I like. Rolling Stones, whether you like them or whether you're not, they've been around for bloody years. One of them's just had twins, haven't they? Yeah. And they might look a bit wrinkly. But you know what? They're the same age as my dad. And he doesn't go and play at Wembley. He barely plays football in the garden with my grandkids. God, I've got a 22-year-old. I don't want to be thinking about that yet. I love longevity. That's what drives me. I love things that last a long time. I buy Nigel Caborn jackets. They're stupidly expensive, but they will last me until I die. My Dr. Martens for Life shoes have been registered under the name of M. Shayler. My name's Mark. My son's name's Max. My daughter's name's Mabel. She hasn't got size 10 feet, but the opportunity is there. But it's also about comfort. You know, when you're feeling a bit ill and you want to grab that comfortable, nice pair of sloppy Joe trousers or whatever it is, what do you reach for? You've all got your thing. Oh, I'm a bit cold, a bit sorry for myself. I'm having a duvet day. I'm going to go way over time by about 3 minutes. I apologise. You reach for something. Now, for me, music-wise, there is only one. Look at me. I'm a 47, nearly 48-year-old, middle-aged, college-educated, indie-loving white man. Quite clearly, it's the Stone Roses, isn't it? Went to see them last week. I cried. Genuinely, the only time I've cried at the Etihad Stadium. Because it's the comfort. You put this album on, and it starts. And you get all bristly and exciting. And the end of the first side is Elizabeth, My Dear, and you think, my God, Ian Brown hates the Queen. And you flip it over and you put Sugar Spun's Sister on, and you think this is Liquid Honey, which is a liquid anyway. This is Liquid Sugar. And it ends with the finest record of all time. You'll all know what that is, won't you? I Am the Resurrection. You all know that, yeah? So this is my comfort. They're my baggy trousers. But what about the new methods? What about other circular economy strategies? What about modularity, disassembly? A band you could take apart, put together, and no one would know anything had changed. What about that? That works too. I'm stretching this analogy, but it works. One Direction. You don't know, you could change anyone. Any one of them. And no one would mind. Apart from this chap on the end here, who my daughter would mind. But it doesn't matter, does it? You could just mix any boy band up, call it One Direction, and everyone would buy the shit. So modularity works really well. Stop it. Chemical safety, we've heard. 60% of the chemicals that come in touch with our skin get absorbed by us. That is a fact. That's how nicotine patches work. Put your patch here so you don't have to have your death stick here. We all know how it works. Flame retardants are not good. Do you know why flame retardants are in everything? Because the tobacco industry refused to take kerosene and benzene out of cigarettes in America and insisted that they put flame retardants in everything else because fires at home used to be caused by people falling asleep with a ciggy on and dropping it on themselves or on their bed. Flame retardants save lives. They also kill us. Really toxic hot seat. If you get a chance to watch the documentary, you won't watch it in America, it's been banned, then try and look at it. So if we're thinking about chemical safety and music, where are we headed? Obviously, the Libertines, aren't we? Pete Doherty. Completely and utterly full of chemicals. However, producing awesome music. Now, I thought 40% of the chemicals, 60% of the chemicals that come in touch with us become part of us. My nan is 93 next month. I think she's 20% olive oil and 15% vodka and orange. And I'm not joking. She may even be more than 15%. She's really grumpy as well, but I guess she's kind of allowed to be. Now, plastic, polyester, because I'm not really knocking it, honestly. It's a great step forward, but it's not my preferred step. Plastic and short life can work. Polyester and short life can work. What's the best example of a band that is sort of plasticky and short life? I couldn't find a good one, so I had to dig deep. I had to go back to Dead or Alive. Because he's kind of circular, and he was relatively handsome. Now he looks like that. And it's his decision, isn't it? I'm not going to criticise him. But for me, plastic isn't the answer. For others, it is. It excuses fast fashion. It fits some business models. But as we saw earlier with the Levi 501s, moving your model away from sale to service is also really compelling. Really compelling. And I can see that. We know M&S are on the verge of launching this. But I've been saying that for 4 years because they're just a bit scared. So the whole business model world is about to revolve and change. My view is our money is sometimes the most powerful thing we have. Use it well, buy right, buy once, invest in good. That's what I do. If you want a mountain shirt, you didn't even think you needed a mountain shirt till I told you about them. If you want a shirt come coat, buy the McNair, or but the Finisterre do a beautiful one as well. Invest in good. With power comes responsibility. Go back to Mrs. Thomas. With power, it was the 1970s, everyone was on strike. It wasn't just me. Comes responsibility. There are implications. And when you spend your money, you're putting a marker down. You're spending it well or you're spending it bad. Thank you so very much, and apologies for overrunning by a little bit. Cheers.